In Fusion 360, two different orbits, free orbit and constrained orbit. What in the world is the difference? Coming up. Hey, Tyler Beck with Tech and Espresso. I have a confession to make. I couldn't tell you what the difference is between free orbit and constrained orbit. And let me tell you why that's embarrassing. For the last 15 years, I've worked with Inventor, Fusion, SolidWorks, SketchUp. I even work for a CPQ solution where we have a cool 3D visualizer. I still don't know what it means. So today, we fix that. I watched Lars's Beginner, How to Pan Zoom. I just checked out this one from Google. Type in the two differences. There's all these tips. I watched a few of these. I think I figured it out, and stick with me. There's some cool stuff they hear at the end. Okay, so I've got this block to help us understand it. So it's just like the view cube. All right, the first thing we're going to do is let's get free orbit out of the way. This one's the easy one. It basically lets you just rotate almost about any axis that you want. Tumble, you can rotate. So I think of a spaceship out in space, zero gravity. It's able to orbit about any axis at any point. So that's the free orbit. So we rotate and we can still use the view cube, of course. Now let's look at constrained orbit. I come down to this orbit tool, choose constrained. There's several aspects to this. The first one is when you just start rotating. So I press the middle mouse button, it rotates. It only wants to rotate about this axis, this Z axis. So even though I get kind of off center or towards the top view, it still only wants to rotate that front view around the Z axis. That's what it wants to do. So one explanation from Scott Moyse, he says a turntable. So it's on a turntable, but you can tumble that turntable. But as soon as you want to rotate, the turntable re-engages and only rotates around that Z axis. So that's part of the constrained orbit, is it only allows this rotation. So like when you look at an assembly, again, it just wants to rotate about this Z axis. It will let me still tumble, but that rotation is kind of locked into that, right? So when I start going crazy, you can still see it limits my rotation. Now, the other functionality in the constrained orbit, check this out. Click here on the constrained orbit. Do you guys see these handles that wake up barely? Let's change the environment so we can see a little bit better. Go to the dark sky. Okay, how about that? So tranquility blue, there we go. And now you can see these handles a little better. All right, so you see them? You can select these, and then it only allows you to orbit around that. That's it. Now you can rotate about these handles. Now, one tip about these handles, they are sensitive to your camera view. This was wild. It took me forever to figure this out. Okay, so my zooming out, it changes my camera view of this world, and my handles, the center is going to be right here. If I pan this over here, it's right here, and now it rotates about this huge axis. So now like the center of gravity is in the very center here, and this thing rotates all the way around it. Pretty wild. So if you jump into the bike frame, click and wake up the handles, there's the center. And again, if we pan this over, center is going to wake up here. Click it, and now we can rotate. Hey, so if you're just getting started out, check out my video that I made for you for learning the Fusion interface. And then I've got this series as well that helps you walk through some beginner parts as well as kind of all the steps that are needed as you're trying to learn Fusion 360. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.